Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Dual Universe showcase. In this clip, I will want to show you some of the flight modes that I just wrote for our Serenity Shipyard's HUD that is a user class, therefore a part of Arch HUD. So let us dive right into it. We are once again here before Factoria. Probably once again the reason for low FPS. I know, I should probably move somewhere else to do these clips, but this is where we live, and so this is where I do most of them. Anyways, I will be showing today's flight modes on this little vehicle. This is our wheelbarrow. We lovingly call it the wheelbarrow. It's the original was the AWP by Lacora. You can see I'm testing some effects here that might also contribute to the FPS, but be that as it may, you can see this thing has been pimped up. There are lights, there are radars, and other things on here. In particular, this vehicle here has lateral engines as well as forward and rearward thrust, and so this will be perfect to demonstrate what I want to show you today. So with this, you can see our interface here, the SRT control interface. This one I will not be publishing yet, probably, because I just worked a lot on it and it's not done yet. So when I activate, let us listen.
Serenity Shipyards, at your service.
When I activate our flight control interface here, you get this lovely sound that we made together with Kiki. And you get our custom built Serenity HUD, this guy over here. And on this you can see the 6 hexagonal buttons. Let me just click and move the cursor where they are. You can see them over up here. These are part of the new HUD. And I want to show you today VTOL, coupled mode, linear mode, ground mode is ground stabilization from Arch HUD, and torque correction is a part of the user class that will allow you to automatically compensate for disbalanced, unbalanced ships in terms of adjust the torque. I can demonstrate this another time. This is not part of this video. Anyways, now that we are active, let me disable coupled and leave us only in VTOL mode. You can see I can activate this via our interface here. I could also activate it by clicking and going up here. There, I deactivated VTOL. Let me reactivate it like so. I can move a bit closer to the screen so maybe everyone can read it like this.
System shutdown complete.
Nope, don't want to shut you down. All right, so now what does
Serenity
VTOL mode?
At your service.
Ah, the lovely sound. Now what does VTOL mode do? It does what probably most of you expect it to do. VTOL stands for vertical takeoff and landing. And so if I disengage my brake and I take off like this here, I press space rather than pressing G, what it does is it holds me stable at my current altitude, be that 42 meters, where currently our, hover engines are keeping us, or if I go higher up still, beyond our hover engines, you can see we coast, and as soon as the vertical velocity stops, it is our bottom vertical engines that are keeping us up here now. I can probably do this, and if I go into, no, I cannot go into build mode while we're flying. Well, I can move around, but this is no use. You can see that the ship is slowly coasting sideways, right? This is part of the VTOL mode. It's meant to be able to coast around, I said vertically, horizontally. Let me reactivate manual control so that I'm frozen, and I can show you folks what happens if I activate thrust and start going in a certain direction. And then I cut thrust, you will see the ship just coast in that direction. Nice trail of effects behind us, and we still maintain our altitude of 153 meters, as you can read from the top right of our little screen. If I move right, we do have wings that are probably gonna, yeah, there you go. The wings are pushing our prograde vector to align with where we're facing, but in essence, I just keep coasting and nothing other happens. Now, VTOL mode, what it also does is if I point my nose downwards, I should still keep altitude, except for a certain moment where our forward engines can no longer hold us, and then we start slowly losing altitude and coasting forwards. And as soon as I lift my nose up again, we stabilize again our altitude. Same holds if I go like this. Well, we're not losing altitude, I guess. Our forward thrusters can keep us up. Now, what if we did not want to be coasting left and right? Because it seemed a bit uncontrolled, right? So if I want to activate brakes, of course I can brake all the time, but this is not very practical. So what I did is I built a coupled mode. As soon as I activate this, you will see the ship stabilize, fully stabilize, and now we're no longer drifting neither left nor right. We're actually stably floating in the air. Same holds true if I start accelerating in a certain direction. Let's go to like 100 kph, I release, and you will see the throttle on the left of the HUD jump to minus 100% and now back to 0 because coasting activated our reverse thrusters to kill our velocity fully. Which means that now in this mode I can move left and right in a more coordinated way. If I turn right, it will also activate our lateral thruster to kill our velocity. You can see our velocity is bleeding from 20 now to 15, 10 kph, and we come to a stop. The lateral thrust is weaker than the forward and backward thrust. That's why it took a bit longer to break this movement down. So, coupled mode, just like in other games such as Star Citizen, will just automatically work to cancel our velocity without using the brakes, using the lateral engines. This is even more practical in space, which will follow up afterwards. Now, one final mode I would like to show you guys is if I go in linear mode, the ship auto levels. Let me maybe demonstrate this again. If I'm like this, inclined, and I now go into linear mode, the ship will automatically level. Coupled will automatically break our sideways velocity, and now we are back again at 0. And now in this linear mode, I can do movements. Now I'm no longer using my mouse, I'm using A and D and WS and C and spacebar. So, let me repeat this. I am now flying with my keyboard, no longer with the mouse. I don't have to increase thrust by using the mouse wheel, and I'm solely moving using my WASD buttons. And this also allows for very nice precise maneuvering. This mode also disables the hover engines, pushing you into the sky and hurting your head against the ceiling. And in this mode I can do very nice and precise maneuvers. I can go and use this parking spot over here, for example. There you go, I'm a little taxi, I park and I land here, no problem. So VTOL linear mode is very nice for precise maneuvering, maybe also if you do meganode mining, for parking in tight spaces, for maneuvering a vehicle into your hangar bay. And yeah, that is it, folks. Oh, here we have Alex, our chief architect, currently AFK, but he's been building this lovely place. Anyways, next up what I want to show you is how this all works in space. And here we are, folks, right here in space, near one of the moon's surfaces where it's best to demonstrate. So let us check the new flight modes right here in space and see how they behave over here. So we're landed here. Let me activate VTOL and coupled, so we have the vertical takeoff mode, and it actually serves best to go into the external view. You can actually, before we go there, you have the slider here where you can see VTOL hold as you hover with the mouse. We are at 99 meters. Let us disengage the brake and set it to go, let's say 100 meters above the ground, so we're just outside the hover engines range of the boosters. Let's say, what are we, 100, let's say 200 meters. And as we lift off here, there we go. I think now we have to reset it. Like so. Now we start climbing. Let's go to the design altitude, help it, and you can see the bottom pushing engines, which are the top engines on the ship here, push us down. This is coupled mode breaking us down, and you can see the ship hovers in VTOL flight stably over 206 meters as we set it over here. Let's verify this works. It says to 204. Let's see if I change it, if it takes. Yeah, we keep losing some altitude. Now it just stabilizes at 190 or something. There we go, folks. So VTOL mode, just like an atmosphere, stabilizes in height. Coupled breaks us. So if I were to remove coupled, in theory, let us use our good old flip switches over here. Let's remove coupled. And now in theory, as I start giving it some acceleration using the main engines here, well, let us remain in external view just for better views. All right, we have accumulated some 470 kph. You can see our altitude remains stable because our vertical engines keep stabilizing us. And we are not being slowed. We are just coasting along the moon over here, folks. Let us enjoy this beautiful flight, just hovering above the moon. Everything peaceful. Oh, now we have even the hover engines taken because the moon's surface gets a bit higher over here, as it seems. That isn't a problem because we're high enough by the looks of it. Now, what changes with the other flight modes? If I turn the ship around, like this, nothing fancy happens. VTOL mode keeps hovering us at still the same altitude of 197 meters. Now we're getting more altitude. I expect, there you go, there is no more hover engines working. And now, as was the case with, let us realign our nose with the prograde over here. Like so, this is where we're facing. Now, as expected, if I now go into coupled mode, let us do this here via coupled mode. You will see our forward-facing engines. You just saw them in the cockpit over here. You see them, here we have an engine, and here we have another engine. Those are tiny engines, so we have very, very little forward thrust. Well, that is rearward thrust, actually. And so these engines do break us down. You see we bleed some velocity. We go down to 385, 84, 83 kph, but it's a very slow process. And as I turn the ship around, let me level it. As I turn the ship to the right, to the blue radiant indicator, now we're perfectly 90 degrees to our prograde, you will see our lateral left and right engines are trying to slow us down. They're breaking us down. Those are this is the effect of the coupled. You can barely see it, but on the golden triangular part of the ship, here you have one engine, and here near the door you have another engine, and they're slowly trying to break down our velocity moving forwards. If I incline the ship like this, we will get some more support from our downwards engines, but they're working very hard to keep us afloat, given how this moon has a gravity very close to what our our vertical thrust here is. In any case, the way I would like to break down the fastest is obviously I turn the ship facing retrograde, and you will see our main engines now light up, and we start bleeding velocity very fast, all the way down to, well, to standstill. There you go. Now, I'm not sure why this, that's why. There you go. Still have some remaining velocity because I didn't align the ship perfectly. And now we're chasing our retrograde, and now we're basically at a standstill. There you go. So, you can see this flight mode behaves identically here in space. There is one last thing we can show. We can go in here and activate the linear mode, which will allow me I'm not using any mouse wheels or anything. I'm just pressing W, and this will move the ship forward. And now to move around, I can use the D button to your right or the A button to your left. And what I can do also is I can use Q and E to strafe sideways, but once again we have rather little lateral thrust, so you can see our sideways engines here are trying very hard their best to move us left or right. But that is it. So these are the flight modes in space, behaving just as they do in atmosphere.